the Underhive of Necromunda, where shadows cling to every wall, and hope is a currency few can afford, lived Kael Voss. He had never seen the sky. Few in the Underhive ever did. Far above him, thousands of levels higher, the noble spires of Hive Primus pierced the clouds. It was said the air there was clean enough to breathe, without coughing blood. It was said the lights never flickered, and the walls did not sweat rust and oil. It was said people lived entire lives without hearing the scream of a grinding press. Kael had once believed those stories. When he was younger, he used to climb the rusted ladders near his hab block, trying to reach the higher maintenance walkways. He would stare upward, past the endless pipes and cables, imagining the different life, white lights, clean floors, real food, a life where a man's hands were not stained black by grease, before he was even old enough to work. But dreams were fragile things in the Underhive, and the Underhive had a way of crushing fragile things. Kael's father had worked in the same manufactorum, a grinder operator. One day, the machine jammed. The overseers called it a mechanical inefficiency. The workers said the Emperor had taken him. Truth was simpler. The machine had taken his arm. Then the infection had taken the rest. After that, Kael stopped climbing the ladders. At the age of 12, he was assigned to the manufactorum, the same one his father had died in. Same grinding press, the same screaming pistons, and the same red-robed overseers, watching from above, like metal vultures. Years passed, shift after shift, cycle after cycle. Every cycle, the vox horns blared across the hemp stacks. Shift cycle begins. All labor units report immediately. Workers rose from their bunks, like corpses pulled from shallow graves. Kael joined the silent procession. Thousands of bodies, moving through narrow corridors. The smell was always the same. Sweat, oil, rot, and something sweet and metallic. Beneath it all, blood. Usually, at the manufactorum gates, servo skulls floated overhead, their lenses flickering. They recorded faces, scanned tags, logged attendance. A worker who didn't show up was not searched for. They were simply replaced. The grinding press stood at the center of the hall, a steel beast, older than memory. Its pistons were as thick as a man's torso. Chains rattled overhead, feeding scrap into its maw. Every worker knew the rule: never reach inside while the pistons were moving. But rules were easy to forget. After 16 hours of labor, Kael's job was simple: feed the machine, clear the gems, do not slow the production line. Above them, on iron gantries, stood the overseers of the Adeptus Mechanicus, tall, silent, red robes hanging like funeral banners. To them, the workers were not people, only components, replaceable parts. In a sacred machine, one cycle, a young boy slipped on the oily floor. His hand landed on the conveyor. Just as the scrap feed lurched forward, there was a wet crunch, a scream, then silence. The line did not stop. Within an hour, a new worker stood in his place. Kael never even knew the boy's name. On the night of his final shift, the machine began to stutter. A grinding noise, a sudden jolt, then silence. The quiet felt wrong, unnatural. Kael leaned forward, hands trembling from exhaustion. 16 hours without rest. He reached into the machine's maw. Then the pistons roared back to life. Steel snapped shut, with the force of a falling guillotine. Kael screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the thunder of machinery. Above, a mechanicus overseer noted the interruption. Unit malfunction. Replace labor component. The machine never stopped. By the time the shift ended, Nothing recognizable remained of Kael Voss. A servo skull drifted down, its lens flickering. Productivity loss 0.003%. Labor replacement required. 1 unit. For dawn. A new worker took his place. Another face. Another pair of hands. Another life, waiting to be fit into the gears. In the depths of Necromunda's Underhive, Kael's death was not a tragedy. It was routine, and the machine never stopped.